So colleges are completely insane, you know that. It's hard to shock you with these stories, but we found one that might. Students at George Washington University here in Washington have started a petition demanding the school abolish the nickname Colonials for its sports teams. The nickname, of course, honors the soldiers of the American Revolution who, needless to say, fought against colonialism. But according to the petition, the nickname, quote, glorifies the act of systemic oppression. History evidently not the strong suit over at GW. In March, filmmaker Amy Horowitz visited GW and spent 3 hours asking kids there whether the name of the school itself should change. Most said yes. Here's a selection.
Do you think we should consider changing the name of the university?
I think it's definitely worth having a discussion about it.
Personally, I would change the name.
I think that it should be changed. I think that recognition is super important, and I think that
recognition
for who he was as a person.
Do you think it's time to change the name of this university?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Would you change the name if you could do it?
Yeah, sure.
We've sort of retrospectively mythologized this concept of liberty and freedom.
It's not to say that he wasn't an important man back then. It's just saying that in this day and age, it's not as important, I don't think.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say George Washington?
Oh, I think about him owning slaves, yeah.
Jason Nichols is a professor of African American Studies at the University of Maryland, and he joins us tonight. Professor, I have to say, after watching that tape, I'm for changing the name.
Are you?
Overpriced and silly university, because that's what it is. But I guess what I love about this story, the Colonials, is that the kids there are so dumb that they think the term is glorifying colonialism when, of course, it's glorifying the soldiers who fought against colonialism. But that distinction, that all-important distinction is lost on the geniuses at GW.
Right, but don't you think you could see why that would be an issue? I mean, why not have a name like the Revolutionaries or the Independents or the 76ers or the Patriots? Something that actually seems to make more sense than the Colonials, and you're talking about people that fought against colonial, or even the Continentals. As we know, George Washington fought for the Continental Army.
That's true, but what you're saying is the kids there are so dumb and so lazy and so high on the legalized weed here in D.C. that they can't be bothered to Wikipedia the term to learn what it means.
Listen,
and instead, they get all mad, angry college student.
Kids are at GW are far from stupid.
Well, I taught there for a semester, and I really liked the kids. It was a master's course.
But you think they're stupid?
That was 15 years ago. I didn't realize, it's always the dumb ones who get all the publicity. There's some actually impressive kids at GW, but the kids behind this are like drooling morons. You'd have to be. You're against the name because you're against colonialism, but the colonials in the name were fighting colonialism?
But the point is, do you think George Washington would want to be called colonial? I mean, he would want to be called, maybe Continentals, or have his name associated with independence, have his name associated with freedom.
Maybe. I mean, he's not here to fill us in on any of the nuances, but I can say for fairly certain, I think he might be honored that they named the school and the city after him.
So let's.
And then you're seeing that's, by the way, one of the most expensive schools in the country. So all the rich kids are like, oh, we got to change the name of the school because it's embarrassing.
Okay, well, Tucker, why don't you could have an AAU basketball team, and we'll call them the Liberals. Because you fought against the liberals, so we'll just call them the liberals. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it makes sense to this extent, and I'm no American history professor, but the colonial period refers to the time in which the Revolutionary War was fought, because this was, of course, a colony before it was a country. And so it's kind of a broad term that anybody who's even been awake in 6th grade would know about, except apparently the kids behind the petition.
Well, so George Washington, again, he fought in the colonial army for the British at one point. But the problem is this. I think he would want to be attached to the period following colonialism, the period when he actually, after the Constitution, when we were free.
What percentage of the kids who signed this petition, what percentage of the kids who signed this could name the century that the American Revolution took place?
Oh, I think 100%.
You think 100%?
I think 100%.
Okay. Would you be willing to bet cash money on that?
I would.
Because I bet you it's not over 40.
I don't make Tucker Carlson money.
I'm not, and I don't, you know what?
I can't afford that kind of money.
I'll give it 2 to 1. I bet you that not over 40% of the GW kids who signed this could tell you what century the American Revolution was fought in. I bet not 20% could tell you the years of the Civil War. I bet they are totally ignorant of everything and happy in their ignorance. And isn't that the headline?
I disagree.
I disagree.
I teach college students all the time. You know, they have, you know, I think that there sometimes can be a gap in knowledge, but a lot of these kids, I think we're way too hard on some of these young kids. They know a lot more than people are giving them credit.
There's no question. When my iPhone breaks, I corral one of them and say, hey, how does this work? You know what I mean? Download the software. I don't know how to do it. They're geniuses. But if they're attacking the colonials because they think it's colonialism, they're dumb. Sorry, I know I'm being mean. I can't control myself. Professor, it's great to see you.
Always. It's always fun, Tucker. Thanks.
Well, the number of illegal immigrants in the UK has surged past 1 million. Keep in mind, the UK is an island. It's pretty small. So is